Greetings, YouTubians, and welcome back to Wayne Sharp World, where today I have a knife that I think everyone, or mostly everyone, has been very excited about. It's a new button lock for 2022, and this one here is none other than the Civivi Altus. Now, before I go any further into this review, I'd like to thank you guys for tuning in today. If you like what you see, please do me a huge favor, hit that subscribe button, follow along, and I will continue to bring you the content. I also want to let you guys know that today's episode is brought to you by White Mountain Knives. Look them up for all of your knife and EDC needs, and be sure to use this code right here, WSW10, for 10% off any knife you order through White Mountain Knives. I recently just had a couple people message me on Instagram saying, I was like, man, your code worked on a $250 knife. That's crazy. And I was like, well, yeah, I've always said 10% off any knife in the store. So it is a really good deal, especially if you're getting a higher end knife. You know, you can save $25, $30 on a knife just by using that code. So don't sleep on that code. It's got some power depending on what you want. And this knife right here, let's get into it, because what we have here is another button lock from Civivi. The question is it as good as the Cogent? Because the Cogent came out swinging. It really gave the ProTech Malibu a serious run for its money in pretty much every category. It was an excellent knife. Is this one the same? Well, let's find out. But first, let's take a look at some overall specs. We have an overall length of 7.12 inches, with the blade length coming in just a hair over 3 inches, about 3.05. We have a cutting edge right at 3 inches and a blade width of 900 thousandths with a blade thickness of 110 thousandths. So it really is slightly thinner than your average blade stock, with a blade material of Nitro V, a nice stainless steel that takes a good edge and holds a pretty good edge. We have a drop point style blade that to me is kind of reminiscent of a Ray Laconico design. Now, this is not a Ray Laconico design, but that was one of the first things I thought of when I saw this blade. It kind of reminded me of that, and so you guys obviously probably know I would really enjoy that. We have a flat grind on the blade with a handle length coming in at 4.15 inches, a handle thickness right at 500 thousandths, and a blade or a handle width at 850 thousandths. Handle material on this guy is G10. There is also a micarta option, as well as some type of imitation wood option. I believe it's Kokabura or Paca wood, something like that. But pretty nice looking knife as well. The button lock, that's what really makes this knife the talk of the town right now. And we'll get to whether or not Civivi did a good job on this one as well later in the review. We have a right or left hand tip-up carry with a weight coming in at 3.10 ounces and a price, very reasonable price, of $72.25. So not too bad at all in the price category, considering everything you're getting, as long as Civivi did a good job with it. And you don't know that yet, but you'll find out really soon. Let's also take a look at some size comparisons. Let's start here with the Para 3, as well as your Civivi Elementum. The Elementum's always a great sizing option for any Civivis, because just about everybody has one. And as you can see, it's very close to both. Even the Para 3 really is maybe just a 1/4 inch longer than it, and that's obviously only because of that handle. So pretty good size comparisons there. In terms of ergos, it's kind of close to the Elementum, but I feel it feels a little thicker in hand to me, but not quite as thick and filling as the Para 3 because of the width. But I have another knife here that I think sizes up really, really well to it. And unfortunately, I don't know how many people have actually held this knife in hand, but the Finch Knives Devil's Finger. This measures up with this knife very well. It's probably my best comparison for this knife in terms of ergos, in my opinion. Again, this is all based off, kind of what I'm feeling and what I'm thinking. But then we also have the Ferrum Forge Stinger, which is a decent option in terms of size, overall length comparison, but with that extra choil, that the ergos are obviously different. It's a slimmer handle, thinner handle as well. But for me, that's the closest I have in terms of ergos, which I think are very good ergos. You guys know I love the Devil's Finger. If you haven't tried it, it's a shame. You really should, because it is a great knife, a beautiful one, and the closest one I have to this Altus right here. So there you go in terms of size comparisons. Now let's get into the knife. And of course, in typical Wayne Sharp World fashion, we will start with the blade. And the blade is what really, I mean, of course, outside of the button lock, the blade really got my attention. Like I said, it reminds me of a Ray Laconico design. I like that. It's just a simple, clean, rather sleek. You get this knife in hand, and it definitely looks. I love the way it keeps that narrow profile all the way up to the tip. There's nothing too, popping out of whack of the design. Everything really flows together very well. And I really like the finish on this blade. This is kind of like, it's not, I wouldn't call it a black wash or a stone wash, but it's kind of like a crackled black finish, to where you see on Kaiser has been doing a lot of just pure black coatings lately. You guys know I love Kaiser. I wish they would lay off that a little. They do a really good stone wash, black stone wash on their knives. I wish they do that more. And this is kind of somewhere in between a coating and, I'm having some focusing issues here. It's kind of in between a coating and a black stone wash, almost kind of like an apocalyptic finish, I guess, or a crackled finish. Apocalyptic if you're familiar with Microtech. But it's kind of along those lines. So it has a darker look to it, but when you look at it, you see the crackle and kind of the marks on the blade, which will help hide a little wear and tear as you use the knife. And it's just a lot better than that overall solid coating that you see on other knives that I'm not really that big of a fan of. The edge on this knife is very, very nice, coming in at 17 thousandths, plenty slicey enough, and really especially from like this point up, just a very, very slicey blade. And even down here, obviously still coming in very thin, gonna work just fine for you. The thumb studs on this knife are very well. They're placed in just the right spot. And the way they kind of did the engraving on the handle there makes them very accessible, very easy to kick this blade out. So very happy with those. And the jimping on the spine, Civivi they're kind of sneaky with their jimping, because when you look at this, it doesn't look like jimping that would be super functional because it's wide, it's spaced apart. But I tell you what, you put your thumb on it and the edges right along, you can see they're very, I don't want to say sharp, but they're very defined. And it works very well. I can't remember ever having a Civivi that I didn't like the jimping on, but then again, I reviewed a lot of Civivis. I'd have to go back and probably rewatch some of those, because only the favorites really stick in my mind. But this is very good jimping on this knife, and I think everyone would be happy with the extra grip that those provide. Outside of that, it's just a very clean blade. Looks really good. Yeah, not much I would change on this blade at all. I think it's a very nice length for a lot of people. You're right at that 3-inch mark. 3.05 inches technically is over 3 inches, but I don't know. Do what you want to do, but it's still a very nice smaller blade for a lot of people that don't like the 3.5-inch blades. Some people really prefer to stick to that 2.5-inch to 3-inch marker, so this would be a very good spot for you. Going into the handle and ergos. Surprisingly very nice. There's just enough of a grip for a full 4 fingers. Nothing too obtrusive. Even with the clip, there's nothing that really makes me say, whoa, hey, I don't like the feel of this. In terms of the clip, you guys already know I'm not going to beat a dead horse. Not my favorite clips. I do wish a Civivi would use, especially for a knife this size, I think it would really benefit from a smaller clip, a shorter clip. Not necessarily smaller, but shorter. You have a shorter knife, a shorter clip would work very well. Something like the Stinger here, so that's really the only difference I'm talking about. Just that, let's try and level the clips up here. Yeah, just like that. So, maybe, a quarter to a third of an inch shorter would look really nice. I mean, just looking at the profiles of these knives closed, I mean, which one looks better? I mean, it's pretty obvious. It is the Stinger, and that shorter clip, it just really works with the design. I think it would do a lot of really good things on the handle of this Altus if the clip was just a little shorter and, maybe designed a little differently, but I've already said that enough. But really outside of the clip, you get into the rest of this handle, and it really is fantastic. I am a big fan of this maroon color. The maroon on black, I like. I like this maroon because it's really a mixture of, it's somewhere in between brown and red. I like a lot of leather and wooden things, so the brown notes in here I really like, and of course I like red as well. So I like this handle. I like this color a lot. I like the kind of the contouring they did on the side. Not fully contoured, just on the edges though, but it makes a big difference, especially with as slender as this handle is and as thick as it is. It works together really well, and it just feels very good in your hand. And as you can see, very nice placement of that button lock. There's no way you're going to accidentally press this button lock, at least in my opinion. This is really the only grip for it. There's no choil, there's no nothing else, so this is going to be your grip, and as you can see, it works really well. I don't really have any issues with the ergos, or really the handle in general, outside of that clip. And looky here, another blacked out Civivi pivot. I'm really glad someone at Civivi thought of that. Wink, wink. But it looks so much better on this knife. I'll give it to Civivi. However they came up with the idea of doing this, they did it, and I'm happy about it because it really makes this knife look great. Looks so much better than if you had some, shiny C pop in there in the midst of all of the rest of the, the darker tones on this knife. So looks really good. Really happy they did that. Now going into the action, that's what everybody wants to know about, right? Oh, one other thing that kind of falls in line with the actual handle itself is the lockup on this button lock. As you can see there, so right here is the bottom of, or where the lock ends, and look at how much lockup you have there on this guy. Very, very good amount of lockup. That's one of my more concerning areas in a button lock, is the lockup. And as you can see, you have a very, very nice amount of lockup on the button lock and the actual blade itself. That's very important to me. I've had button locks that had very bad lockup to where, a couple spine whacks and the blade's breaking. You don't have that with this blade. It's very good. Obviously, I didn't whack that very hard, but I don't want to shake everything and knock my camera down. But obviously, it works very well. As you can see, very solid lockup. Very important thing to note with this knife. Now, going into the action, is it good? The Cogent would be very, very hard to beat, but I am happy to report that it is just more excellent button lock action from Civivi. They've stumbled across something here. They've kind of figured it out, and it's the combination of, not really a combination of anything, it's all about the detent. With button locks, it's all about the detent, and Civivi crushed this. Just like the Cogent, really. It's not better than the Cogent, but it's exactly what the Cogent is in a completely different design. The thumb stud, as you can see, works great. The middle finger flicking action is fantastic. Not too strong, not too soft of a detent. They really, really did nail that. And the overall size and balance of this knife with the action, it really, really makes it for me. I don't know, though. I'm still trying to figure out what I like more, whether I prefer a flipper or a button or thumb studs on a button lock knife. Before I reviewed this knife, I would have easily told you flipper all the way, because I've used so many other knives, the flippers on a button lock. It was just kind of like the perfect combination. I really like these thumb studs on this knife. They're perfect size, perfect placement, and just very, very easy to just kick that blade out. So I don't know yet, but I'm obviously very happy with this. So no real issues here. It's actually fantastic. I would really love to see a flipper and thumb stud button lock knife. That would be the bee's knees. And then, maybe get into the front flipper area. That would be cool. But right now, we're just talking about this knife here with the thumb studs, and it's 2 thumbs up for me. Really big fan of this action. Nice, powerful deployment. Listen to this. Just a smack. This isn't even a thwack, guys. This is a smack. So good. Really like that. Nice, pleasing action. Very, very fidgety, as you guys know. And very easy to just close that blade and just let it fall right in place. So very, very pleasing action there. Overall thoughts, guys, I at least tried to lead it up like I wasn't happy with it, but I couldn't be happier with it. It is obviously another hit from Civivi. I'm not really surprised, but it's very, very good. So if you're looking for that button lock knife in a little smaller package, or if you just like the aesthetics of this in general, you're definitely not going to be disappointed with this one. It's another button lock home run from Civivi. The only problem with it right now is just getting it. They dropped earlier this week. They sold out at most places. They're currently sold out at White Mountain Knives, but I will have it linked below. And check this link if you're watching this knife, if you're watching this review in the future. Hop on, check that link, because I know there's more coming into White Mountain, and I know there's more coming into all the other retailers. There was a lot of hype around this knife, so it sold out very quick. But like I said, there may still be some out there somewhere, but I don't look at all of them. I really stick to just a select few retailers at this point. But yes, this is it, guys. It's a very good one. Let me know what you think about this. Let me know your thoughts on button locks in general. It seems like they're really the talk of the town and within the knife industry. I think you're going to see a lot more button locks coming out. I think there's going to be a battle of the blades coming up very soon, within the next probably 2-3 months, with the Altus and another knife that I'm very excited to see. So you guys are going to see all that, but let me know what you think of this. I hope you enjoyed it. Hope you have a great rest of your day, and until the next one, I'm out.